which after all gives more time to talk. So what to do? 1e4. Let me revert back to one of my old loves, the Norwegian rats. Been doing a lot of Scandinavian recently, and yeah, let's see what he's got prepared. I don't know. Mr. Jean-Claude Duss, why have you not prepared for this? Or is he just checking up on his notes? Like, you gotta know. You gotta know this. Okay, so he takes. I don't think this is particularly dangerous. Sort of hard to get to the e4 pawn now, and I should be in time with a timely c5 or even maybe f5 to get some decent counterplay. Yeah, let me start with c5. Yeah, c3. c3 is obviously okay, but it feels a bit timid. Should probably have taken on c5. At least that was what worried me the most. But he's fine. I'm thinking if I go castle, he may go knight c3. Maybe I should go bishop g4 first. Either way, I feel like he's done fairly well. I've wouldn't say criticized him, but I've made a suggestion that his play may have been a bit timid so far, but maybe he's still doing pretty well. Just perhaps the result of the opening not being that great. So yeah, I guess I'll castle and see what happens. There are options like knight c3. I can go queen b6, followed by rook d8, not fearing d5, queen b2, since his knight will be hanging, and later the pawn on e5. It's all about time. In that case, knight c3 and castles. If he could get these two moves, I think he would be better, but without, it's not so easy. Also, after castles, then knight a5 is a serious option, which I don't think it really was before. So he goes h3 with the pretty obvious intention of covering bishop g4. And now, yeah, I feel like I gotta act. So I'm gonna go knight a5. If he goes bishop b3, I'm pretty happy just to chop it off and get the bishop pair, which will give me compensation even if I were to lose the e4 pawn. And if bishop b5, then I got a6 followed by knight c4 on b5, presumably with pretty decent counterplay. So I feel like I'm doing okay now. Yeah, I briefly thought where I should mention b3, but it just feels too artificial. But now that he's gone for it, I gotta deal with it somehow. So how? Where is the dealing with it? I either gotta take it, or I gotta do something like a6, preparing b5. If I do go a6, he may go knight c3, and I'm not sure I've gained too much. So I got a couple of options as well. I can go b5. I prefer bishop b6. I could have gone b5, cb, then queen a5, queen d2, take b5. He would castle, and I feel like he would have an improved version of this position. So I'm going bishop b6, not fearing d5, because then the pawn on the e5 will be hanging, and I'm relying on short-term short-term factors here of being able to create counterplay before you can castle. So he protects c4. I'm going to go rook c4, and he's got to push some of these pawns. So he quite correctly goes d5, bishop d7, and now he's got a choice to make. I think if he wants to be fine here, the simplest way was just to go e6, fe, and then castles. And I'm never doing too great there. But bishop d4, at the very least, gives me some time to create counterplay. I'm hitting c4 once again. c5 allows bishop b5 with I would say very good counterplay. So I think what he should have done is he should have gone e6, and then he would probably have been doing fairly well. Now queen c2, that move I don't like for him. I think he is not taking the short-term factors into account enough here. I think he's yeah, I think you gotta play more concretely than this. Although queen c3, it's not immediately obvious, now that I think of it. Yeah, it's not obvious. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. Okay, rook d8, castles. Yeah, there is rook d5, but I'm feeling more like b5 actually. This could be a massive mistake actually. b5, yes, many good options here. Like queen b4 is pretty good, then knight c3 to come. Yeah, b5 was awful, really awful. I'm sinning against what I was talking about before, playing more concretely. c5 was probably his worst option, since now he's losing d5. But I shouldn't interpret b4, because he can simply take it and then grab the bishop on a4. Should I do now? Rook d8. He's got c6, but then I'm going to go b4 and grab that pawn with the bishop. I feel like if he goes bishop e3, let's say bishop e5, queen b4, he's very much in the game. Even c6 is far from hopeless. This one I don't like. Yeah, I could think of taking it, then knight d4, bishop b5, goes c6, so I feel like b4 is cleaner. Queen e3, I'm going bishop e5, and that should be game over. He started out very well in this game, but I think now he's lost the plot. Now, finally, all of my pieces are working together, either attacking e2 or they're attacking e5 or d4. So, very interesting game though. I think a good start. Let's see what kind of challenges I got. Okay. Let me try one more 5-minute game. Gotta do a lot of the talking at the beginning. Apparently I played him before. I do too few of these, so I just forget who I played against. That's a problem. So I'm going for the Sicilian this time. Bishop c4, it could be that he's played this against me as well. I can't remember. But obviously this line is kind of innocuous. What should I go? G6 maybe? He's playing the Italian, but the pawn is on c5, not e5. What that difference that makes, what this means for the evaluation of the position, that is hard to say. Okay, so he wants to go d4. Yeah, let me just continue with b6. Not so much preparing bishop b7, but preparing d5. If d4, I'm going to go cd. If cd, then d5. Yeah, I just realized I missed bishop b5 then. And he would get e5 with a good position. Oh well, you can't see everything, can you? Now that he's gone bishop b3, yeah, c4 this you shouldn't do. Now the bishop on b3 is maybe not as bad as it looks, seeing that it can be brought into play by a4, but he's just given up way too many many squares in the center, namely, well, the most important being d4. And thus I should be doing very, very well. Yeah. b3, it's a step further on the wrong path. Maybe he wants to go a3, b4, but I can just go a5 myself, and his bishop on c2 is starting to feel really unhappy. So I'll just continue to deploy my pieces. As a matter of fact, knight b4 is starting to get real tempting now. If a3, knight a2, it looks like he's in a lot of trouble. Really works, but so the idea is knight a2, knight c3 is pretty unstoppable. So rook a1 is the only way to sort of delay the loss of the exchange. Obviously, if after rook a1, I'm not going to take it, because after queen a1, my knight and a2 will be stranded. But I will go knight c3. He will go queen c1. That's the only square for the queen. And then I wanted to go queen f6, renewing the threat of knight e2 check, or creating the threat of knight e2 check, followed by, yeah, rook e2, then queen a1. But he can go d4 there, closing the diagonal. And then I'm not sure that it's, yeah, that it's great, actually. So perhaps after rook a1, knight c3, queen c1, I should go something like b5 instead, followed by b4 to support the knight. But certainly then my plan has not been too successful. Now that he's gone rook c1, he's yeah, he's even writing "oh no" in the chat. Sorry, dude, your queen is gonna get trapped. Don't want that rook on c1. And there's another rook being trapped. Just shows you that sometimes you don't have to do too much. If you feel that your opponent is on the wrong path, just let him continue to ruin his position. All right, so now I'm going to get myself a 3-minute game. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, why not? A friend of the show, the star of the candidates, you guessed it, Lawrence Trent. He gets white as usual. So d4, no more of the... Really, Lawrence? This is what you're going to do? Knight c3? Okay. Let me try and play good, solid chess and see what he can come up with. Play this against Jabava in the whatever, the world blitz. I got a pretty good position. He didn't go g5, which is probably, sorry, g4, which is probably a good way. He's so confident now. Yeah. So for the moment, I'm expanding. I also beat Fabiano in a blitz game in Norway chess with something like this as white. So it's not completely alien territory to me. Yeah, so he just continues to push on quite logically, considering whether to go rook c8 at some point, but yeah, I do get the feeling that that I should be a little more flexible in that, retaining the option to castle queenside at some point. So that's why I'm going knight b6 instead, intending probably to go bishop d6 next and try to reduce the influence of his bishop on f4, which could be a pretty formidable force. So I'm sure he's looking at ways to get, yeah, b3 feels a bit soft. Like I wasn't actually even intending to go knight c4. This move was all about preparing. So dc5 is logical in that he makes me lose time by moving the bishop twice. But now it feels like I got a lot of central control. So b4 quite logically. I was pretty happy to force this. He's got knight e4 though, which I didn't see. And he didn't either. Okay, so no more of the queenside castling stuff. I just want to get the rook into play. Knight c4, let's jump in. Okay, so he wants to make sure that he does trade off one of these knights, but I do feel like I'm better here. So there was the threat of knight a3 there. I could have gone knight a3 immediately, but then he has c3, so that was nothing special. Yeah, I gotta castle at some point, right? g6 doesn't worry me the least, so he's gotta go h6, and then I go g6. And although he has some dark squares, I feel like probably doing pretty well. Could go knight a3, but he can take it. Yeah. Okay. f6 feels like I'm better developed, so opening of the game should be a good thing for me. But I gotta play faster. 85. Not as comfortable as I would like to be. Okay, let's go for it. Rook c2, fe, fe, if queen g4. I gotta have some kind of counterplay there. Wow, he just castled. He's probably done a video series on AlphaZero and now he thinks he can play like it. Spoiler alert, he probably can. Knight c5, I'm gonna go rook d2 followed by bishop c6, hoping to get d4. And this one I was not so concerned about, maybe I should be. But anyway, I gotta play faster. That should be my #1 priority here. Yeah, this game is turning out to be a lot tougher than the one I had last time, so kudos to Lawrence for apparently improving quite a bit. Yeah, at least he's spending a lot of time and he's getting confused now. This one I'm gonna take. Rook f2, there's knight f3. Yeah, I like it. Take the queen. Not a worry in the world. Knight e3. Take the rook. Take the bishop. Mate him. Oh. I didn't do this too brilliantly. What am I doing? I'm not even mating him. Oh, finally I did. That was a bit too close for comfort. Well done, Lawrence. I'm never going to make fun of you again after that performance. Hehehe. Okay, back to some 5-minute chess. Clearly I wasn't ready for 3 minutes today. Okay, let's try this one. Buddha 77. Who's Buddha 77? Apparently I've never played that person before, so it's a good thing. D4, D5. Yeah, I'm lazy. I like the London. You know what? Let's play like Lawrence Trent. Cannot be too bad, right? A6 is in my game. Is he going to go E6 as well? Yes, he is. G4. I'm a quick learner. That's one of the good things about me. But I guess I have some tweaks here as to how I would play it. Although the general plan of developing the pieces, getting kingside initiative going, that's what I would do. Okay, let's move along. And a few castles. Yeah, he's probably gonna get hit with something at some point. Clearly not immediately. So I think he should do what I did, go b5 at some point. And try and get some queenside initiative going. He's taking a lot of time. So he takes. I'm not sure why he did that. I think in principle that exchange is usually quite desirable for me positionally speaking. So now I'm going bishop d3. b4, I want to go knight e2. And that feels like a pretty harmonious redeployment of my pieces. He probably is going to go a5 at some point, followed by bishop a6. That's what I would imagine his plan is. But in the meantime, I can get rook g1 and g6 going. Or even if I'm feeling particularly brave, I can go queen d2 and castle. So I criticized him for going b3 in my game, but Lawrence, but I think in this particular case, preventing knight c4 is pretty. It's clearly a good idea since d2 is an excellent square for the queen, preparing queenside castle in some cases, and also just in general strengthening the dark square control. I'm feeling adventurous, so let's just castle queenside. So he's going to go a5. I'm going to go king b1, and after he goes a4, I'm going to try and strike with g6. So it may look quite surprising to just walk into this apparent attack with a4, but I'm counting on the fact that I believe after ab3, cb3 is usually going to be pretty safe. And apart from that, I got my own initiative going, and seeing as his pieces are not as developed as mine are. For instance, his bishop on c8 and his knight on c6 don't have a lot of prospects at the moment. Also the knight on b6, unless it's going to sacrifice itself on c3, it's not clear with where it's going. So when he goes cb, he also gives me some time. Sorry, AB after CB. It also gives me maybe some time if I go rook C1 at some point. So yeah, so I take an A6. Now it feels like the moment is right for going H6. Since he didn't go FG or HG earlier, I'm hoping that he's now overloaded. If he goes bishop F4, I'm going HG, and whatever he does, one of those pawns is going to queen. So that's what he did. But rook G8, GH, or yeah, whatever he does, whenever he takes the queen, I'm going to get a new queen. I'm going to win his rook, then I'm going to get another queen, and then it's going to be checkmated. So this is pretty bad news for him. So now I'm just going to keep it simple, take another pawn, get another queen. You know, what do you like to do? So obviously the objective evaluation here is that I'm completely winning, but I can understand it. He doesn't want to resign, but he did finally. Good game. But yeah, the critical moment was when I went h6, and I think also when I did go castle on move 15, I think that was an instructive moment in the sense that you shouldn't always be scared of castling, even though you've apparently weakened your king's position. Since if other factors are in your favor, like in this instance, my attack with g6 is going to get going pretty soon, and also my general coordination is and development is better, then it can be definitely be justified. Okay. So after that one, let me try another 5 minutes before I go back to the 3-minute games. So this is Kamat. Not sure I played Kamat before, but anyway, here we go. Oh, this was a 3-minute game. Then I apparently clicked the wrong one because I thought I was clicking on a 5-minute game. But okay. Don't want you to feel like you're not wanted. So definitely going to be an interesting game, nevertheless. Okay, so this is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that one before. So I'm supposing the idea is e4, then knight c3, bc, and b5. Maybe I should go e3 instead. I never saw knight d5 before. Maybe that just speaks to my general lack of education in the field of opening tricks. So I thought his idea was to go b5, or it takes b5. I feel like bishop d2 is a pretty good answer to queen a5. Now he's just way too far behind in development. Even if he tried to keep his pawn with, let's say, queen a6. And here I'm just dominating with better development and a nice center. It doesn't mean that he cannot fight, though. b6 would be a good start, intending bishop a6, trying to trade those bishops and and get some more space for pieces. So I'm gonna follow the example of Mr. Trent. Seeing as I have a massive space advantage, a direct attack could very well be strong here. Also, h4 is a typical idea in these structures, creating a bit of a hook on g5. Is that what it's called? Probably not, but that's what I said. h5, g6. I had this in one of the Banter Blitz matches against Pepe Cuenca, and it was pretty strong then as well. So now the point is he doesn't get to stabilize the structure by playing g6, and now his position is pretty much in ruins already. He's got very little development, and yeah, I'm just gonna move that bishop as far away as possible. I'm guessing knight g6 followed by queen h5 was pretty good there, but I didn't want to calculate that. So now I'm just I'm up on down, but g6 is going to fall, h5 is going to fall, and the attack is going to be absolutely decisive. Okay, that was massively unnecessary. Allowing bishop h4. If I kept my mouth shut for just 2 seconds, I could have. I would have spotted that bishop g4, knight g6 is probably very good. For instance, bishop f2, then king d1, and queen h5 next will be decisive, but I didn't. So here we go. I missed bishop h4, but it would still have won. Anyway, now h5 is falling, and that's going to be it. Equal material, and the attack is absolutely decisive. So take it, and knight e7 is it. Okay, good game. Let's go on to the next one. So let me try and accept a 5-minute challenge this time, since I couldn't do it last time. So you know what? Enough of all these chess players. I'm gonna play a lawyer from Austria. Okay. Let me see e4. I'm sure a lot of people want to see the Scandinavian by now, so not gonna let them down. Knight f3. None of the queen e6 shenanigans, huh? Okay. Should I go for those? Nah, I don't want to do that. The queen h5 stuff, which has now become known as the Bill Gates line, in which I sacrifice a bishop after, let's say, h3 goes at some point. I'm just going to leave that bishop on knight f6, and eventually after he castles, take back, try to mate. But yeah, so let's do something sensible instead. So here, I think I'm doing pretty well. Let me just take that since I want to go e5. Okay, I immediately regretted that. I think I just showed complete lack of understanding of chess. Oh well. At least he has played h3, which I may use as a hook later. That's probably the right use of that term, right? For going g4 once he's castled. So he just goes a3, b4. Probably haven't seen my Banter Blitz match against Mamedov, in which It feels like he mated me like this in every second game. Just going a3, b4, sacrificing stuff, and I just seem to get mated. But I'm not sure it's gonna happen this time. I hope that I've learned. We'll see if that's true. Okay. I'm just gonna take that. 94. With d4, he's got to deal with things like queen c6, attacking c2, just a bit awkward to meet before it's castled. And also if bishop e4, he's got to deal with f5. So it's not an easy choice. Now I think he's got a castle. Otherwise, he's probably in a bunch of trouble. Bishop d4, for instance, yeah. So he did what he should do here, and he's probably doing okay. Bishop e7, I'm not afraid of bishop d4, since it feels like if rook d4, queen e2, first of all, I go g6, or maybe even h4, probably h4 is better. Protecting that pawn, and then later on, I think I will have queen c3 at some point with some pressure on his queen side. Although, objectively speaking, I'm guessing it's pretty equal. Or at least quite close to equal. Okay, so I think you should probably go on rook a to d1. Now I get a chance to use a little trick. Point is now if rook d4, I'm going to go rook queen a1. And if then rook d1, I can take on a3. And although he does have counterplay with queen c4, I think at the queen b4, and then start to run the a pawn, I'm still there. But I would say he's done admirably so far, the lawyer. Okay, so b5. I'm simply going to exchange the rooks, and it feels like even though there are opposite color bishops on the board, that my winning chances are pretty good. Since I'm gonna create a pass pawn pretty soon. So queen d2 is a clever try. Not sure exactly what I should do about it. Huh. Okay. Try and protect some pawns by bishop f6. Queen d7, I'm gonna go a6. It's not so easy. BA, I gotta go BA in order to... B6 seems nonsensical to me. Why would you just give up that pawn? He's not going to be able to prove in a court of law that b6 is a good move. I'm not believing that. Yeah, this was quite, for him, I think quite an unnecessary way to lose the game, since now I'm actually at the moment 3 pawns up, and b6 just made my king really safe, and yeah, there's not going to be any problems from here. Bishop z8, there's queen f4, followed by queen c1 check, picking up the bishop, so no chances there. Okay, very good game though. Was not clear at all till the very end. Okay. Okay, let's go with another one of our own. I'm pretty sure that this one is Sebastian Mihailov. He's one of the main guys behind Play Magnus Norway, which I think is launching these days. And yeah, he's gonna try to give it a go. He goes for the Spanish, being a classically trained player. It's a logical choice. And we got ourselves a D3 system. Going A4 now. Trying to force him to make a decision on the queen side before he's castled. I think I've had this position a number of times. I've had it against Aronian in the candidates match in 2007. I had it against, and then I went knight c3. All the best wishes, by the way, to Aronian and his family. Hope they're all doing great at this moment in light of the news of what happened today. Okay, so he went knight b4 there, which I think was a pretty logical choice. And one of the ideas here for white is that if bishop e6, I feel like knight d5 could be a pretty good choice. If he does take on d5, ed going for knight b4, trying to get to d5, I think d4 is a pretty good option, and he's not going to be able to win a pawn. But that's what he's gone for, so we'll see what happens. So I got a couple of options. The most obvious one is to go knight d2, just taking the bishop, the pawn on d4, on e4, sorry. But the other one, which is a bit more adventurous, is to go for knight h4, try to get knight f5. But alas, I'm going to go with the boring option. Knight e4, typically going for the safe advantage instead. So I'm going to go knight, bishop d5. Here I haven't decided yet whether I wanted to go bishop c6 or bishop f3. The choices we have to make, huh? Yeah, let me try bishop c6. Try and annoy him a bit. Queen d3, going for the pawn on b4. b5, he's going to go b4, obviously. And bishop f4, followed by bishop e5. Trying to keep him occupied. Rook b6, quite logically. But I think he may have missed. Rook a8 here. The question is whether it's any good. Yeah, we'll find out soon enough, won't we? Yeah, I've taken f8, king f8. I wanted to go queen f5. Just trying to put maximum pressure. If rook c6, I'm going to go bishop d6. So I'm not sure you can do that, or even queen c8 immediately might be more precise. And then if knight e8, I'm going to go bishop g7. So he goes for this one. Which, you know what, might not be a bad idea. Okay, queen a8. But now I feel like my coordination is not that great, and also the time situation is less than ideal. I could have just taken a d5. That was silly. I don't know why I did that. I believed him too much. But now I do get the chance of doing this. Bishop d5. He clearly missed that, and now he's in a bunch of trouble. Queen e8, I think. And he's not going to be able to protect f7, which is going to give me nothing at all. I missed this. Holy cow, that was dumb. Okay, no choice. Oh boy. Very little advantage now, and very little time as well. c5? Haha, he expected me to take it. I didn't. Didn't even see that it was on pre. Yeah, this is not going to work. Yeah, I was thinking of rook d6, but then g6. If he takes it, I take with the king. And that's not stalemate, because the rook is in f7. Okay, another exciting game. Almost too close to